3-6, run the table to make the playoffs. So might this expedite the process of potentially, we want it all now. Win or blow it up.
Right.
Fire sale. It will make a case for it. Again, we don't know if they're going to do it, but I think a lot of Patriots fans don't have the patience to ride out the rest of the season without knowing that there might be some promise ahead. And I think a lot of people would very much be in the side of burn it down. Okay. Burn it down.
As they should be. If they don't trade away assets, guys like Gilmore, guys like Tooney, if they don't try to shop those guys in the next week, if they lose this game on Sunday, or even if they don't lose this game on Sunday, or even if they make the trade or start talking about the trade now before the game even starts, any other team, if we were evaluating this roster, Bill Belichick, if he was any other general manager, would 100% be on the hot seat. Now, obviously, he has that much longer leash than maybe any other coach in sports, and rightfully so. But because of the way this roster is constructed right now, he definitely deserves criticism. And secondly, if they don't trade any of their assets and they end up going 7-9, 6-10, and they're picking in the top 10 and they're out of the playoffs, and they sat there all season with Gilmore and Tooney and all these guys on their roster, that is a terrible management of assets. That's a terrible management of a rebuild. And what all it's going to do is put them behind the 8 ball of actually doing what they need to do, which is get some talent in here to start, kind of bringing on the next iteration of the Patriots. If they are in a position come Sunday afternoon, at 4:30 after the game is over, where they're 2-5 and they don't make those trades and they don't try to cash in as best as they can on the assets that they have on some of the veteran players, I think that's a terrible mistake by Bill Belichick, and it should be something that we criticize him for, because maybe they get, the trade has kind of been thrown out there for Gilmore is like a 2nd and a 5th for Gilmore. Maybe they can get a 2nd and a wide receiver for Gilmore, that another team is a cast off on another roster that might be able to actually come in here and contribute. Maybe they can flip Tooney for an earlier pick instead of waiting for that comp pick to cash in 2022. Maybe they get a 3rd round pick in 2021, which is another asset to add to the war chest. Then you have that with the salary cap space that they have coming next offseason. And all of a sudden, you can press the reset button pretty quickly, as long as you can figure out the quarterback position, of course. So that's what
that old thing.
That's what a rebuild looks like, though, right? Like that's what a true rebuild looks like. And if you look across any sport, when teams that are proactive about the rebuild thing and aren't afraid of it are the ones that come out of it quicker on the other end, and the ones that usually turn it around faster and start competing for championships again, especially in the league like the NFL, where there's so much roster turnover from team to team every single offseason. When you're loaded with picks and you're loaded with cap space, you can do a lot to kind of retool your roster in a hurry. You can sign a bunch of different players. You can do a bunch of different things with all that flexibility. That's where the Patriots' mind should be at if they lose this game on Sunday. And honestly, like, I'm sort of heading towards that anyways, regardless of the result on Sunday, because the worst thing that you can let happen is a win on Sunday in Buffalo blind you from the fact that this team is not going anywhere. And that's the worst thing that you can allow happen.
Yeah, and what is interesting, and we've talked about this in other videos, and is Bill Belichick has traded players for future value to not be left holding the bag with the team in contention. It's hard to believe he wouldn't do it here. You've traded, I mean, the most famous one being Lawyer Malloy at the beginning of a season, but obviously you have Chandler Jones, Jamie Collier. He's not afraid.
The Chandler Jones trade is the Stephon Gilmore trade all over again. Now, Chandler was a younger player, but that's what it is. It's trading a player, a very, very good player, a year before he's about to hit the open market to cash in on that asset. It's time and time again, we've seen Bill Belichick make that move.
Yeah.
He walks away before it's too late all the time. And for some reason, there's a little piece of him this time around that seems to be holding on to that Dynasty 2.0, that core of the 2010s Patriots.
And we don't know what Bill Belichick's thinking. And, if Bill were listening to this, one, he'd think we're idiots because whatever, that's what he would think. But two, it's just possible he doesn't think this way, but you have to wonder, and again, this is definitely going to be a fan perspective, how much of this is the first season without Tom? To watch it burn to the ground like this so spectacularly, again, you think someone like Bill Belichick, who doesn't appear to be affected by these things, it's still a pretty massive hit. And again, it's just noise and he's good at tuning it out, but it's still, as far as optics are concerned, and as far as the talk TV radio blowhards, this is open season on Bill Belichick from the moment he starts the fire sale all the way till something appears to look better than what it was this year. And really almost his only way out of that is to correct the ship here and get these guys somehow into the playoffs so we could talk about, wow, what a miracle he was able to take this ragtag bunch of, misfits to the playoffs. If anything short of that, it's open season on Bill. And again, you said it, any other general manager or coach for where we are right now, if Bill Belichick was in year 2 and his name wasn't Bill Belichick, the body of work over the last couple of years would draw a lot of criticism as a general manager, from the drafting to the personnel management to letting a Hall of Fame quarterback walk because you couldn't figure it out. All of those things are strikes against him, even though he is, in most people's eyes, inarguably not just the best coach and team builder in pro football, but possibly in all sports of all time. But this is the reality today.
Yeah, this gets into a little bit of like talk radio trying to jump inside Bill Belichick's
But you
mind.
don't know, right?
But you don't know, and I do feel like a little part of Bill has to be thinking at the beginning of this season, I got to make the playoffs. I got to be competitive to show people that it wasn't just Tom, right?
Yeah.
That it was both of us, and that I'm just as good without Tom. I think a lot of people, a lot of Belichick haters, a lot of Belichick critiquers will go to that record without Tom Brady, adding in those Cleveland years. And you see that Bill Belichick, without Tom Brady as his quarterback, has a losing record in the NFL as a head coach. Now, obviously, we don't think that means anything necessarily, but I think that that's what we're seeing, is that this season they kind of thought, I think at the beginning of the year, and maybe they still have lucked into Cam Newton, and maybe Cam Newton will turn things around and it will still be this match made in heaven. But we're talking, a month ago about contract extensions for Cam Newton. Now we're sort of seeing kind of the real side of this marriage kind of play itself out. But I think what I said at the beginning still holds true here at the end. The Patriots, offensively, especially in the passing game, need to get back to Cam Newton football. They can't keep playing Tom Brady football. The one stat that really stands out to me about how the Patriots passing attack has been over Cam's last 3 starts, he has attempted 1 RPO pass in the last 3 starts. In his first 2 starts, he attempted 10 RPOs. So that tells you right there that they have just completely gone away from some of the things that he does really well. RPOs is something that Cam has been running since Auburn, right? That's his thing, right? Is, the RPO glance was that little backside slant off the run action, and you read the linebackers. And now what they're doing is they're putting him under center, they're putting him in the gun and spreading it out like he's Tom Brady, or they're putting him under center and having him run under center play action like he's Tom Brady. I'm sure Cam Newton's ran under center concepts where he turns his back to the defense, then needs to turn and face the defense and read it out. Maybe, 5% of his entire NFL career. Something very, very minute. And that's not what he is. That's not who he is. So they need to get back to Cam football. I don't think that they also, we talked about them selling a lot of pieces. If they invest anything in this team, that's a big mistake also. You can't go out there. I know a lot of people in the comments are saying, oh, what about Adam Thielen? What about this guy? Do not do that.
You're not a player away. Right.
You're not a player away. And it's specifically not a player away given the state of the front 7 on the defensive side of the ball. Adding Thielen to the wide receiver may look better in it might raise up your PFF grade a little bit as an offense, but is it really going to net anything in the win-loss column? Absolutely not. This has to be a rebuild of the entire team on both sides of the ball, not just offense and not just wide receiver.